Thank you, Terry. And I'm glad to hear that you've lost the weight because earlier you mentioned shrinkage. Our next jury poet is Sandi Stromberg. She's been a jury poet in the Houston Poetry Fest anthologies 2004, 6, 7, 9, and 10. And her work has been nominated for a Pushcart Prize. Her poetry has also appeared in Improbable Worlds, an anthology of Texas and Louisiana poets, The Weight of Addition, Time Slice, Texas Poetry Calendar 2010, 11, and 12, Colère, 2011 and 2012, Elias Honey, Curbside Review, and others. Please welcome Sandi Stromberg.
It's always a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Robert and Gary and all the volunteers who make this possible for us every year. It's lots of fun to come, whether you are in the anthology or not. And I have 3 poems. The first one is from the anthology, and it is a reflection on a visit that my husband and I made to the Eisenheim altarpiece in Colmar, France, several years ago. And it's an incredible piece of art. It was 12 huge, gigantic panels of the crucifixion of Christ. To believe in angels and demons. We travel by plane, train, and foot, a sort of pilgrimage to a medieval Christ, his pocked body hung on Grunewald's cross, suffering for our red and painful sins. Heresy well meant, a diseased Jesus giving succor to the sick and dying. From a side panel, St. Anthony's Temptation casts its fierce shadow over me, his plight in the desert echoing the drone of childhood Sunday sermons, the cautionary tales I composed with their hellfire and damnation, brimstone and blood, my familiars, a bestiary writhing with monsters and reptiles, ferocious claws and forked tongues in our closets and under my bed. Their punishing spirits flashing through the house like demons on the loose. At night I hurled into myself for warmth against their chilling grasp, my thoughts on the smooth brow of our dining room Jesus, his wavy brown beard and deep blue robe, his pale white face in profile, as he looked toward what I knew must be heaven, the safeguard of angels. Oh, how quickly childhood images manifest. I stand transfixed, silent and alone before St. Anthony, wrapped like contemplatives before me in my own desert. Inner turbulence stirs the deep sands. A long buried shiver slithers up my spine. Thank you. I have a son that lives in Singapore, so this spring I went out on my second visit there, and it's always such a different world with a lot of anticipation and all. So my other 2 poems are about my trip out to the Far East. And the first one is Singapore Morning. Soft night lifts to birdsong, yellow parakeets, palm blossoms bunched like pale red grapes, and 2 curious sunflowers, gift of my midnight arrival from the west, entwining their necks as they seek the growing light. Condensation, with its promise of heat and rain, wraps my body in a second skin as my tropical mind awakens to the sultry green, the crowded cacophony of cultures where dragons dance a rainbow of silks through curry-scented streets, sway to plaintive sitar strains, fold pungent sandalwood and cinnamon into the lavender of my expectations. And the other one is about Langkawi, which is kind of one of those paradise islands off the coast of Malaysia on the northwest side, near the Thai border. And as it turns out, it's actually an archipelago with these incredibly fashioned islands. There are 99 of them. And I've been trying to capture this in a poem, so I'm sure this is the first time I've read this one. So. Langkawi Archipelago. They rise out of the sea, 99 kindly green giants, shielded by coconut palms, eucalyptus ferns. Acacia's crimson blooms dot their humped backs like monstrous drops of blood. They've endured too many million years for me to count, silent and solitary, guardians of the Malaysian shore, the endless waves of the Andaman Sea, lapping, lapping. I feast on the floating sculpture garden, gumdrops formed by glacial retreat. I want answers from these mysterious mounds, not from a geologist or one who maps the ocean's depths. I want them to tell me. What god took clay to form your karstic souls? What trauma deep within the sea thrust you up 50 million years ago toward the unrelenting sky?